Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. Level up, tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. Never lose, should've had better luck. I'ma wake him up from a slumber. Money ain't nothing but a thing, and the level ain't nothing but a number. Life ain't nothing but a game. Level up, never lose, should've had better luck. Tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. I wanna evolve. Waking up meant that he gave me a chance and I'm rolling the dice. I do it all, living like I'm trying to go for the platinum trophy in life. Who can you call? Really nobody, so you should just follow me on your device. And know if she chillin' with me, then it's bound to be chemical X and the sugar and spice. Game in the system, but game is the hobby. I'm probably cocky, but hot as wasabi. I mean, if it's beef, then you know where to find me. My niggas is ready and so is my body. You should be running and telling your posse and what's in the speakers and what's in your potty. And she trying to kick it, but this ain't karate. Just keep that shit down while I'm watching Tsunami. I ain't saying I'm a super nerd, but I told you when we got involved, my idea of a perfect date is a PlayStation and some alcohol. I was role playing on GTA. I'm a good guy, but I got it all. If the world should end, be the first to leave, but the last of us acting naughty, dog. Level up, never lose, should've had better luck. Tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. Level up, tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. Never lose, should've had better luck. I'ma wake him up from a slumber. Money ain't nothing but a thing, and the level ain't nothing but a number. Life ain't nothing but a game. Level up, never lose, should've had better luck. Tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. Never lose, should've had better luck. Tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. Level up, tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. Never lose, should've had better luck. I'ma wake him up from a slumber. Money ain't nothing but a thing, and the level ain't nothing but a number. Life ain't nothing but a game. Level up, never lose, should've had better luck. Tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. I wanna evolve. Waking up meant that he gave me a chance and I'm rolling the dice. I do it all, living like I'm trying to go for the platinum trophy in life. Who can you call? Really nobody, so you should just follow me on your device. And know if she chillin' with me, then it's bound to be chemical X and the sugar and spice. Game in the system, but game is the hobby. I'm probably cocky, but hot as wasabi. I mean, if it's beef, then you know where to find me. My niggas is ready and so is my body. You should be running and telling your posse and what's in the speakers and what's in your potty. And she trying to kick it, but this ain't karate. Just keep that shit down while I'm watching Tsunami. I ain't saying I'm a super nerd, but I told you when we got involved, my idea of a perfect date is a PlayStation and some alcohol. I was role playing on GTA. I'm a good guy, but I got it all. If the world should end, be the first to leave, but the last of us acting naughty, dog. Level up, never lose, should've had better luck. Tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. Level up, tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. Never lose, should've had better luck. I'ma wake him up from a slumber. Money ain't nothing but a thing, and the level ain't nothing but a number. Life ain't nothing but a game. Level up, never lose, should've had better luck. Tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. Never lose, should've had better luck. Tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. Level up, tryna see a check, I'ma run it up. Yeah, I do a lot, still ain't done enough. Never lose, should've had better luck. I'ma wake him up from a slumber. Money ain't nothing but a thing, and the level ain't nothing but a number. Life ain't nothing but a game. Level up, never lose, should've had better luck.
Hey. What's going on, people? Fame Entertainment here from LV1Gaming.com. And congratulations, you guys leveled up to 206. This is the Double XP podcast. My voice is usually the first one here, but today you get to hear Baron say A with his old man busted up ass shoulder, and that's what he gets and deserves. Today's going to be a fantastic day. We got some amazing guests rocking out with us today. It's going to be a hell of a show. Before I get going with my panelist and our guest, before I start with the guest, I'm going to start with my panelists. Per usual, my right hand man, the floor hugger with the hardest of R's of lately.
Oh my God, still. Hi, everybody. I'm glad to be here. It's going to be a good show. We got some good topics and some very cute guests on tonight, so let's do this.
Look at you. You talking about, I'm not even a guest. You talking about me and Baron, right? Don't be giving Jeff and them, and you ain't even called us cute today. That's some bull.
Sorry?
That's some bull. Next up, communication level1gaming.com, the co-host Starcross Gamers, Baron J67. What's going on, Chief?
You know what? My shoulder is busted. I forgot the WD-40. I will, squeaker. I'll be okay soon. I'm just glad that I'm here to watch Rand constantly break the internet. It's so amazing. What? It's the best thing ever. I look forward to see all the spaces that spawn from his tweets. It's great.
You confuse me with somebody else.
Next up, she is the co-host of one of the best podcasts on Saturday. This is how you get your day going on Saturday, right? From Grown Woman Game, also a designer at Microsoft, Delilah HD. What's going on, love?
What's going on? Good to be here. Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate that.
Hey, it's all good. Thank you for coming through. Again, man, I love what you ladies are doing at Grown Woman Gaming, man. You guys kill it every single Saturday, and watch you guys grow a fantastic community, and what you guys doing has been a sight to see. So shout out to y'all. I'm going to make sure I link all that in the description, man, because you ladies are doing some amazing things, for real.
Thank you.
Next up, apparently the man that broke the internet, he also was Monica, the man with the million. Randolph Thor, my brother. What's going on, Chief?
What's going on? It's good to be back. It's been a while.
It's been almost exactly a year.
Almost exactly a year. So should be fun to talk about everything. Well, I don't know the topic, so it's I'm raring to go though.
So you going in blind and naked.
Yep.
There we go. That's how we do.
That's how I do everything.
Now before.
That's why I'm not on camera, because you guys don't know. I'm
Listen, don't tease.
Without clothing right now.
Where's the gas hole? The blind man at the gas station.
The future. He's got to sign. The future is near.
Okay. Yo. Next up, before we give this man his flowers, because I don't know someone else who goes through it as much as this man on social media. Last but not least, the only one of the podcast with the luxurious hair, because Rand decided to cut his. Jeff Grubb, what's going on, brother?
Not much, man. Just trying to get things right here and there. Just occasionally, every once in a while, come out with a story that turns out to be right. Yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm like moving into a new house. It's been a lot of work, so I'm like happy to just sit down and talk about video games for a while. Yep.
Everybody
moving.
Everybody's moving. Yep.
Listen, before we're going to jump into it, man, if you guys are watching, hit that like button, share the stream out, let people know we are going live. But we're going to jump right into the first part of this, Jeff, because you got a lot of heat. Like, a lot of heat. And it was almost this time last year, we had you on the show, and we talked about the Kojima game that you had been heard about, or the possibility of a Kojima game on Xbox, and the flack you got was astronomical about that. How does it feel, right? Because if I had roses, I would throw them in your fucking face. I would give them all to you, right? Need all the roses, right? How does it feel to be vindicated that is real, is true, it is happening?
It's weird because like normally like it's I could be very much like, okay, it's on to the next thing. I'm just like, it's part of the job. I'm reporting something. And yeah, of course it turned out to be true, because that's what those are the things I report, the things that I can source and know that they are as accurate as possible. And so, but in this case, it was a very long time. Like the story, when I reported it, was very early in the process of Microsoft and Kojima having conversations, but late enough that I knew something like was materializing. So I was able to report it then. And then it was just this long wait where, you know, every time anything that was happening with Kojima, people were able to read into it however they wanted, even if it didn't have anything to do with Kojima. Abandoned, that's definitely Kojima, and people lose their mind. And every single one of those threads on Twitter will be like, "Well, this shows that Jeff Grubb is a fraud." And I'm like, "Does it? What are you talking about?" And then but I'm like, "Okay, whatever. We'll see eventually." But even going into this E3, like I was like, I'm like, okay, it's early. Are they going to want to talk about this without having anything to show? Obviously, that's exactly what they did. So I'm like, okay, I guess that does make sense. And they needed it. They needed something like that in that show. So I don't know. It was nice to get that one like marked off the board of like, okay, that's up there. It's still in the air. It's still not confirmed. Well, now it's confirmed, and I'm ready to move on to the next thing. That's where I'm at.
So can you say that Final Fantasy VII is coming to Xbox so Rand can get the heat off of him?
How is there heat on me? I literally said
Rand.
I don't know, bro.
One prediction.
Just
I don't
accept
know why
it.
anybody took that to be anything different than what it was.
God, we're not allowed to make predictions, Rand. That's the thing.
No.
I made predictions on my show. They're like, you said 1 vs. 1 was going to be there. I'm like, I was saying I hoped it would be there. I know that they're making that. I know that. But I don't know where it's going to show up. That would be great if it showed up at this show, and I really hope they do that. And it didn't, but oh well.
And that has bit me in the ass before on my show because people will come in there and be like, yo, did you hear what Jeff Grubb said? He said that NetherRealm's going to show up and be bought by Microsoft.
That was
real?
Cognito. He played that dirty trick on me where he's like, just say that. I'm like, no. And he's like, come on. I'm like, okay, we'll play a little game here. We'll pretend that that's what's happening. And then he was like, yes, it's really happening. And his chat was just like, it's Saturday morning. I don't know. Or Sunday morning. I don't know what's going on. I'm like still hungover. So I'm going to pretend I just heard Jeff Grubb say this thing that he obviously was joking about. And then they go to Rand and get Rand to repeat it. So it's a game of telephone with a bunch of people on Twitter who should just maybe like stop and listen and try to do your best to hear what is actually being said. But oh well.
You know what, Jeff? I won't believe you until gold goes free. You're still wrong.
Right. Yes, still gonna happen. People like think that's just made up. That's still on the board somewhere inside of Microsoft. They intend to do that someday. It's just a long time from now.
As much as I would love the clout tokens, what we call them the level 1 clout tokens, I don't want to deal with the crap y'all deal with. There's no way I want to deal with that.
It's fair. It does come with the territory, right? It's like that's the one thing. Like we can only complain about it so much, especially me. Like I mean, I am putting stuff out there that takes a long time to get confirmed. I know that before I do that. So when those things happen, in most cases, I'm just like, okay, this is part of it. People are not going to want to hear some of this news if there's some weird fanboy, and I'll just deal with that. That's fine. And the Kojima case wasn't a special one where it's just like, you all are tricking yourselves into believing all these other really weird things that don't make any sense, and you refuse to believe the very obvious thing, which is Microsoft is working with Kojima. But whatever.
Well, listen, everyone give Jeff his roses. If you ever said something stupid, you owe him an apology. Give this man his roses. But while you give him his roses, we have to work on his because the one we got last year was terrible. And I clipped this. I don't
know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
You know what? You know what it was. We're gonna jump to this freaking cough, man. We're gonna jump to the first topic, and I'm gonna go right to you, Delilah. And again, thank you for being here because one of the things about this Xbox Bethesda show that a lot of people seem to be upset about in a lot of ways was the 12 months. We're gonna show things coming out in the next 12 months. While people were going to the roof and shooting for the moon, wanting Hellblade, wanting Avowed, wanting God of War 2, wanting Fable. They want to see everything, right? But the show started off and they set expectations saying, hey, we're not going to show things. Uh-oh. What I do?
No, you did it. No, you were shooting for the moon.
Oh, yeah, that was me. Guilty. Yeah. Right? I did that, right? Because I'm a Hellblade fanboy. You know this to be true. I love the game, right? But Delilah, like, your thoughts, because I felt that expectation probably should have been, because Microsoft is really good at setting expectations. Aaron Greenberg will come out and tweet and say, hey, just a heads up, set this expectation. Right? They're really good at that, right? But they waited until the show. So a lot of people were upset about that because they were expecting to see updates for some of these bigger first-person titles, right? So your thoughts, Delilah, first off, on the only showing games that you're going to get in the next 12 months.
I thought it was great. I mean, obviously I'm biased.
Oh yeah, obviously.
Obviously. But I thought it was a great play. I think you have to appeal to more than just the core audience sometimes. Of course, that these games are coming. They already talked about Avowed, Hellblade, everything in their portfolio, the 23 studios, so on and so forth. We know those are coming, but you can only show what you have, right?
Yeah.
So I like the play. I think focusing on 12 months, kind of upfront what you're gonna get. You don't it's not like 2 and 3 and 4 years out. You just kind of expectation is, like you said, set for that. And so that's what they played to, and that's what they decided to focus on. And yeah, I like the play.
Baron, you heard me bitch and moan when that happened. You did. I did. I did. I was like, you know what, once you said it, I was like, yeah, I know what this means. Right? But I do want to get your thoughts on this because I did that. I cried. I did.
Hey, let me tell y'all, because I got to witness it in real time.
One thing, before you jump in, the one thing I want to say is, think about it. Microsoft got all the time in the world to talk about whatever they got coming in the future. And so it's just, for me, I think it just takes a mind switch from everybody to turn that switch off. That E3 is just going to be, far out, 5 years, 6 years later, so on and so forth. It's just set expectations. This is what you're getting.
They got games to sell. They got games to sell in the next 12 months.
Yeah.
And those games got pushed to just a little bit, so it's like, well, we still have to sell those games before we talk about the next games we're trying to sell. It makes a lot of sense.
And you all, the catalog is ridiculous. The Game Pass catalog is insane.
Yeah,
and you think about what they showed and how much, just the sheer amount they showed was incredible. And we saw things in other shows that could have actually been in the actual showcase. So it was
Valheim and everything.
It was so many games that they talked about that I can't wait to jump in on and play. So yeah, it is what it is. I love the show. For me, one of the biggest highlights, because it's something I have been very vocal about, externally and internally, was the Persona get. So for me, I'm excited about that. As far as finally being able to get achievements on that. I love achievements, and that's why I prefer to play on console or whatnot. So I'm excited about Persona. And yeah, and who knows what that Kojima partnership is? Who knows?
Jeff knows.
I hope it's still, somebody here knows.
I've said before that that deal was so early that I didn't even think Kojima knew what the game was. At this point, now that there's a contract, they definitely have put down like a genre in writing, and they probably have like a general idea of what the game could be.
Oh!
They got him!
They got him.
Kojima somewhere with a sniper. Kojima somewhere with a sniper.
Man down. Target acquired. Finish that statement, Jeff.
Scared to death. No, I'm afraid to say anything now. He probably has some idea. It's going to change a million times between now and when the game comes out, to the point where it's like, it's probably not even worth trying to figure out what they have written down. He's going to go experiment and prototype a bunch of ideas that he could take advantage of the cloud with. And what that turns into is anyone's guess at this point.
Jeff, I got a question about the Kojima thing.
Yeah, please.
We know, at least it was leaked by the dude from Walking Dead. I forget his name right now.
Norman Reedus.
Norman Reedus,
the father of Mingus Reedus. That's his name of his son. Sorry.
He is also. They were doing Death Stranding 2, right? And the rumor is that that's going to be Kojima's PlayStation exclusive. Would Xbox have it in writing in the contract about how much Kojima actually works on Xbox's game? Because I would imagine you can't really do both at the same time. So is Xbox concerned potentially hey, we're going to get a game from Kojima Productions, but he's not actually really making it because he's off doing Death Stranding 2?
I think the contract will have some stuff in writing about what we expect in terms of milestones and what we expect in terms of your input. That kind of stuff probably is in there. But he could do both at the same time. I think. I mean, he's already First of all, I'm not sure exactly if Norman Reedus even knows what a video game is. You heard the way he's talking about it. He's like, they've come so far since Pac-Man. I'm like, oh no, it's one of those guys. But like, he's probably like right that it's Death Stranding 2 or whatever. But if it is Death Stranding 2, a lot of that stuff is previously established. And when Kojima would have people underneath him that know how to run that show. And Kojima would come in with the ideas and be like, okay, well, I want this and this and this, of course. But when coming up, like, his passion does seem to be like reading Wikipedia, coming up with crazy ideas based on what he just read, and then doing something new in a game world with that. I would imagine that his
reading Wikipedia.
Yeah, like they totally like he's like, I'm getting so busy, I need to hire someone to do my research for me, and that research basically just means like reading the craziest, newest Wikipedia pages, and then like coming and reporting that to Kojima. But I think he's gonna be spending a lot of his time coming up with this new concept because it's something new and exciting, and I think that's usually where he wants to be. But that doesn't mean like Death Stranding 2 would suffer either. He's gonna be able to do both.
What comes first, Elder Scrolls 6 or the Kojima game?
Probably the Kojima game. I have more faith in him after the speed at which Death Stranding came out. So
yeah, he did do that one really fast.
Yep.
It's a struggle trying to find the meme that won't give me COVID again. But B, yeah, I got to be careful nowadays. B, I'm gonna swing it back to you, man. The 12 months. Before we really dive into the show, man, that seems to be like one of the biggest talking points coming out of the show was the 12 months.
I'm gonna tell you guys, being in the same chat, the same Discord server chat, whatever, while watching that in real time with Fame was quite funny. I had a very big hearty laugh because I could just hear his like breathing change.
I was hurt, bro. I was hurt. I was hurt.
No, please tell me y'all captured that so I can go back and check.
Yes.
I got it. I have to go back.
It's a whole like 40 minutes before. Oh yeah. And you can hear the hype and yeah, and here we go. And then the slow descent. And I personally blame pacing. That was because looking back on it, it was everything I wanted. And you know, I got caught in real time. Like I said, hey, we need games that are coming out soon. We need Japanese games. We need variety, and we need gameplay from Redfall and Starfield. That's exactly what we got. Yeah. And that's why I was like, only thing that killed, and it sucks because in real time, it was hard. It was hard to get through in real time because of the pacing, the things they stuck on a little too long on certain stuff. They should have, you know. But
I'd be curious to know how you feel about like this for the pacing, because I thought the pacing was done pretty good.
The saving grace is what they ended the sandwich with Redfall and then Starfield.
Do you feel like that little middle piece was a little bit of a?
It was better than Summer Game Fest in terms of pacing.
Oh, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. No, 1,000%. And then the fact that we got gameplay was there. But I think if they would have really seriously led out front and said, hey, guys, just before we get started, or like, you know, before the show went live and before the countdown screen, 12 months. That's all we're talking about. I think it would have, because I gave it an 8.
Wait, hold on.
I gave the show an 8.
Expectation. Well, no, you see, that's just it. Your expectation is like when they tell you the 12 months. That's your expectation. They should have told me before the show started. They don't have to do that.
True, 100% true.
Hey, no, 100% I'm with you. They don't. But going into that, you know, you thinking like the last showcase, we're going to be hearing about these big titles. We thinking we're going to get some images and in-game moments of Avowed. We're thinking, you know, these are rational thoughts based on what they gave us last year.
Yeah. So
to go into this, and then when the countdown ends, and then they opened up, I believe they opened up with Redfall first, and then they talked about the 12 months. It wasn't. Did they do the 12 months first or the 12 months?
No, it started out straight up with Redfall gameplay. That's how everything started.
And you see what I mean? So you start off hot, you coming in, it's like, yeah. Oh, we're only talking about 12 months, which, once again, that checked off a major box. I wanted games that I'm going to be able to play soon. I don't want to hear nothing about 2026. So that's
fair. That's fair.
I gave it an 8. It just in real time, it was a little hard to. It was like, and it was because of my expectations, not because the show was bad.
Yeah, and that's something that's something I had to go back and watch it again, and I was like, okay, this is dope. But at the time,
And
like hearing that 12 months, I was like,
Looks
yo.
clean.
Yeah, it looked much better in 4K. But at the time, I was like, yo, this, like, I'm not saying I wasn't happy, but I was hurt, bro. I was definitely hurt. But Rand, I want to swing over to you, Rand, because you are a very level-headed person. Like, I want to get your thoughts in particular about the only showing games over the next 12 months and being specific with that notion that was the arc of the show.
So here's the interesting thing. I knew about this a month ago and I didn't believe it.
Oh.
Jez was told a month ago that the show was going to focus on games coming out in the next month. That was the show's focus.
Next
but
year.
me and him, the next 12 months, me and him didn't believe that it was going to be that literal. Right?
Right.
So, like, okay, the show's focused on the next 12 months. Okay, that's cool. That still doesn't mean they can't show Indiana Jones or Avowed or something, right?
Right.
So it
we
was
say
like
that stuff all the time, right? Where it's like,
Yeah.
whatever he's focused on the next year, and then at the end, you still get the other thing.
So it was the literal thing, and I was watching it, and then Sarah Bond came out, and I was just like, oh, they meant literal. Okay, let me readjust my expectations a little bit here. I think it's an interesting way to do it because a lot of E3 showcases are centered around hype and announcements years out, and that's pretty much how all these companies have done it forever. So it's kind of like it's been ingrained in us for I don't know how long to expect games announced 3 years away at a cool looking CGI trailer. So when someone bucks the trend and is like, you're only getting things a year out, it kind of screws with you because you're expecting these big wow moments or these things that you can, like, oh, I want to see more of this game and Perfect Dark's coming in. I want to see that. And then like, no, you can only see these things. It kind of deflates you to a certain degree. And then you kind of refocus and like, all right, well now I'm back into it. Okay, it's 12 months. Let's see what you got. So I actually really liked the format, and I hope they actually do this next year. I actually sent some feedback to Xbox about this today. I said, I hope you continue to do this moving forward, and I honestly think this format and presentation would have worked better next year than it did this year.
Definitely.
Because I said basically what you did was you did last year's show again. We got Starfield and Redfall again. Instead of Forza Horizon 5, we got Forza Motorsport, right? We got to see Elder Scrolls Online and Fallout 76 again, right? So it's like, it really felt like it was last year's show just over. So I thought it was a good show. I thought last year's show was better. But if they stick with this format and fine-tune it, like I thought the beginning was really good. I thought the end was really good. But the middle section I thought was a little like, I'm not going to say bad, but just, I don't know, a little bit boring.
We were just waiting for the big surprise, and there was none in that section for the most part.
Yeah, and I don't know. I tune out when I see Fallout 76, and I tune out when I see Elder Scrolls Online and Sea of Thieves because I know I'm never playing those games. At least when an indie game comes up, a new game comes on, I'm like, oh, well, let me check this out because I might be interested in playing it. So, yeah, I mean, I hope they move forward. It would be odd. I don't know about you guys. I think it would be incredibly odd if they did it this year and then reverted back to how they normally do it next year.
Oh yeah, I think you got to go with this at this point.
Honestly, my biggest issue, like I always bring it up, I even wrote about it, was Fallout 4's reveal. I thought that was the greatest thing ever. The marketing kicked up immediately behind it. They did the weekly updates with special. They dropped the cell phone game to go along with it. It was the perfect reveal for a major upcoming game. 6 months, like, in right in the heat of something like now, and then it just, I was wondering where that went. So it's hard
to do. It's hard to do that every time, right? They wanted to do it with Starfield, they did. Yeah. But the game needs a lot of work. So who's going to work on a mobile game? And it needs to get delayed. So it's not going to be 6 months. It's going to be 9 months. The reality gets in the way. It's not. There's one company that can maybe do that consistently. It's Nintendo, because they hold on to games for an entire year. Like we found out Fire Emblem. Like, yeah, that's confirmed. That they're confirmed by people inside. And I've heard the same thing. They've been sitting on that game for a year, so they could do the marketing campaign however they want going forward. So Microsoft's not in that spot yet.
I also feel that this show did nothing to quell the concerns of the people out there that think Microsoft is mismanaging their studios. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, look at all that. Ooh.
Right.
Fatherhood's the best hood, baby.
Right.
Man. You don't even
I'm
know
bringing
you
my
need it.
babies. No,
Man, my daughter's not here right now, but I'm like, baby.
right, where my babies at?
Star Wars,
Unpacking,
there
so
we
she
go.
found my stormtrooper plushies, and so she brought them to me, and she's very proud of herself, and she
Very
should
nice.
be.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't think this was a show for, like, the critics of Microsoft who say they don't know how to manage their platform and, you know, Phil Spencer needs to get therapy and stuff like that, right? Like, this wasn't the show that was going to fix that, right? So you still have all those concerns floating around about, well, 12 months? Oh, this is because Microsoft doesn't know what they're doing. I bet you Avowed's 2025. Like, they're hiding things. So it doesn't really go to alleviate any of those concerns from that certain people might have.
This show is who's this show for? Like, this show was for Microsoft. It was they have games to sell. So when it starts up and all the possibilities are there, and you're thinking this could be the show for me, where I get updates on all the games that are coming in the next 12 months, and then I get surprises, and they tell me that favorite game that I always wish they would remake. They're making Crimson Skies. They're doing that. Like, that's what they're doing. And then they start the show. They're like, we're talking about what's coming in the next 12 months. It's like, oh, they are putting on a commercial product to show us a bunch of commercials because they got games and they got Game Pass to sell. And it was a Game Pass commercial. And I should we be surprised by that? Probably not at all. But that doesn't mean it's not deflating, like everyone said. I agree with that. I think that's accurate and fair, and I think Microsoft should try to balance that. But at the end of the day, if your job at Microsoft is to get people excited about Game Pass, coming out of that, I don't think anyone was saying, well, this makes Game Pass look bad. Even the critics are like, well, obviously Game Pass is a good deal, but here's the problem. Like, then blah, 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 blah. But like, okay, well, they succeeded because Game Pass is what they're trying to sell, and if you feel good about that, then mission accomplished.
Hugger, I want to swing over to you because we've talked about this previously before about Microsoft finding that balance between, because Phil Spencer said it before, like, hey, we don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot by announcing a game and then it gets, the scale bound treatment, right? What the show they did with the 12 months and having games, RIP, right? Having games like Scalebound get announced too early. Like, how do you feel about Microsoft, trying to find that balance between both? Like, do you think they need to keep this format, or there needs to be some type of median where we show you what's 2 years away while also cramming an hour worth of what's in the next 12 months?
Ooh, I mean, the formula, you should keep it if you want to go with it. What's the point of ditching it after a year? Because you didn't really give it time to breathe. But I don't know, they could do a, oh my God, I can't think. They could do a medium. Chalklock and I have been covering all the Nintendo Directs since like 2012 or 2011 or something we've been covering. So it takes a while for a show to get its momentum and for it to feel natural. And I don't know what it is. And for some people, it's going to be a great show. If there's something you don't like, it's going to be a bad show. And I just have trouble focusing on the show. So an hour is already stretching it for me.
Man, I'll give me 2 hours. If it's here, give me 2 hours. Like, if you got it,
same.
If you got it, give it to me. Because I'm sorry, one thing that bothered me, and I knew what it was when they announced it, so I can't really complain. That second show. So, and that's
yeah. I think you're right though. You can't complain because they told you what it was going to be. Like,
exactly.
That's the one where you be like, oh, this is what I thought it was going to be, and you just turn it off and you catch up on the news later because it's good for
too.
It's good for someone like me.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too.
I was honestly waiting for somebody to slip. That's really the main reason I watched it, because I got a feeling somebody's gonna ask a question.
Redfall details and
Yeah.
And Starfield details out of that show.
Mm-hmm. Like being able to run one character.
Extended name isn't very good because what it is, it's supposed to be like a bunch of interviews. Mm-hmm. So they should just call it like, all right,
I
now.
Like that name because it's cheeky kind of.
Well,
it's dumb. It's a stupid name. It's like
Like the Nintendo Treehouse Live is like, okay, this is a completely different thing than a Nintendo Direct. It's Nintendo Treehouse Live. It is the people who work in Nintendo of America's marketing division.
Branding. All right.
Yeah, branding. Like they're coming in and they're going to do a bunch of conversations with the people making games, and that's what it's going to be. And they position it as a live stream with those people on stream, just doing these interviews all day. And it's not trying to be packaged up neatly like a presentation. It is just people hanging out, talking about the games. And I do overall like that. I like that we have both shows. We should have the shows nonstop trailers, and then we should have a show where you could pick out tiny little details. And if you're someone like me who used to write video game news stories, well, there's going to be a line or two in there that you can go create a headline out of. And then that gets people talking, and then we get to the next part of the conversation about these games. Like that is very useful for someone like me.
The word Fallout 5.
Yes, exactly.
The word got mentioned. I watched it happen in real time. I was like, "Are you serious?" And then you look on Twitter trending. I was like, "My God, what did he do?" And that's what I was hoping for. Moments like that. That's why I watch that stuff.
Shout out to the mods in the chat. I appreciate y'all.
You notice on the extended show, like they even made a joke about it at the very beginning of it being called extended. I thought that was clever too.
Yes, yeah. Justin Roiland coming out making a joke like, "What is this?" And then
like, what is this show? Like, well, why are you calling it extended? Are we the regular show? Or are we? The
I thought it was really
show?
well put together for what it was, for what it was trying to be. I agree.
Maybe I should go back because the only part I'm not gonna. I mean, I was at work. So the only part I really saw was the part with Paris. I'm like, okay, it's Paris. That's cool. You know. I really didn't watch the show.
Paris' segment was great. Like,
I thought that was cool.
Production.
Yeah, it was like, oh, here's a bunch of here's a bunch of new stuff, plain stuff that's coming to Flight Simulator, and then we're gonna talk about these special details while also like breaking it up every 30 seconds with like, oh, isn't this this flight museum awesome? I'm like, yeah, it is. That looks very cool. I'm glad you guys got to go there. So yeah, well done.
I think for a lot of people, well, and including myself, the beginning and end of the show were the highlights of the show. Those two games that were delayed, finally seeing gameplay, right? And I want to give a big shout out to Naveen Crumbe, who is the global voice of E! Network that we've had on this show before. We've interviewed her before. She is an amazing voice actress. She's been getting a lot of crap on different forms of social media because when the trailer first starts, that's who you hear. You know, she is Layla Ellison. Which I think she did an amazing job as Layla, and you hear her voice all throughout. She's getting a lot of crap on social media and forums for her portrayal and people. So I just want to give her a shout out and let her know that she got much love from everyone at Level 1 Gaming. So shout out to you, Naveen. But I want to go back to you, Jeff, because we finally did see Redfall gameplay, and a lot of people were confused originally on the feeling of what this game was. Is it Left 4 Dead? Is it Borderlands? And I kind of want to get your thoughts on the gameplay that we've seen, and now that we finally kind of see what the game is.
Yeah, I think that they did I get it. They're doing a big summer game showcase, and so you want to have a lot of action. I think they did a slight disservice once again to trying to convey what this game is by only focusing on like the combat action. And then in the follow-up showcase, Pete Hines is like, there's a lot of stuff you do between the action that is very arcane gameplay, like Dishonored 2 stuff, where you're going to be, you know, I suppose they didn't even really explain what that meant, but in general, I'm imagining it means like you're going to have multiple ways of getting inside buildings. You're going to have different skills that enable you. Okay, maybe there's a window that's open and you're powerful enough you could jump through it, or maybe there's like a little locked gate and you could pick that lock. The big takeaway from those conversations and from the trailer is that this is a game that they are building to be played either single player or co-op, and it sounds like it's a single player game first, which is why we got the news today. Like, if you are playing co-op, it's just advancing the story for the person who's playing the game, and then everyone else just joins. It's not going to advance the story for everyone else, and so it's like, okay, that's annoying. I hate that.
Oh, that's very annoying.
But it tells me that this is a single player game first. Like, that makes it very clear that they are expecting people to engage with the game that way. And so this is not a Left 4 Dead. It's got an open world map, and they keep like harping like this is going to be an arcane game. I think we need to see more of what that is, but I'm intrigued. I'm like ready to be done with like zombies and move on to vampires, and I'm ready to like kind of see, okay, yeah, that combat can work, and all these special magical powers that can work. But I do need to see what happens between the combat and how exciting that is. And I'm really down with arcane gameplay recently, so I'm ready to see that and kind of like let it win me over.
Let me know if I'm wrong. Oh, go ahead. No, you good.
I was saying, even on the extended show, that's how they described Redfall. It was like it's an open world RPG,
right?
And so then it kind of clicks in my head, like, oh, okay, well, it's not like your what was it, Left 4 Dead? It's not like a group together and shoot and loot and stuff like that. It's just kind of a story, open world, so RPG. So.
Did it seem like it's because I thought that there was a small clip when they showed the weapons and the attachments. Is it like a looter shooter in a way? Somebody did anybody get that feel like there's gonna be loot, or is it like, hey, these are the weapons in the game, you can find them, you may
need to watch that extended show.
RPG, it's kind of like Dying Light almost. It's like Dying Light.
Or like the loot wise, like the Division, like that's more.
That's
like,
how it felt. Yeah,
loot. It's definitely an RPG. Please go watch the extended show because it was a lot better than they gave it.
Why would I watch the extended show when I got friends like y'all to tell me? What? I got friends like y'all. Nerds, freaking nerds. Why would I do that? Like.
This team, they're actively working on the game. They describe it way better than we could. So that's my.
He's like, nah.
Nah, y'all need to tell me.
I just like Baron. Send it to me in short email format, and I'll read it.
Bullet pointed list, right?
Yeah, bullet points. Like, help me save face when we're live is what you're supposed to do, B. You didn't do that just now. It's like you just let me talk. You're supposed to be there for me. Communications, man. Communications.
My bad.
But Rand, I want to switch over to you, man, and your thoughts on the Redfall gameplay, because they had a lot of confidence for this to be the game that they start to show out with. So I mean, I'm sure they were excited to showcase it.
Yeah, I mean, I love that Pete Hines did everything he could to tell everybody in the showcase that in the extended that it's not Left 4 Dead or Back 4 Blood, because you know that must be like a thing. Like, no, it's not Left 4 Dead or Back 4 Blood. It's Arcane and they're doing this. It's like, yeah, okay. No, I thought it looked really good. Actually, the first time I watched it on stream, on Twitch's stream, 1080p 60, like these streams do not do justice.
No
to
justice.
At all.
Not at all.
I do not know why. Like, I don't know. There must be some limitation for why they can't stream in 4K because, like,
it takes a lot of data. Twitch doesn't even support it.
So it's like I watched it back in 4K on my TV later, and I was like, wow, this looks really good. I'm a huge fan of Arcane. They have not disappointed me yet. Right? I thought maybe Deathloop was the weakest of their games, but Prey and Dishonored 1 and 2 are like absolutely stellar. So I am all in on Arcane. What Jeff mentioned before about the article about the co-op situation really bothers me, though. Because we ran into this problem in Back 4 Blood where we got 4 of my buddies and we played like 10 levels, right, over like 2 nights. And then the third night, the guy who was the host couldn't come on.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I was going to defend this. I was going to say just play through the whole game with the same group. But you're right. The reality gets in the way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
So it was like we wanted to play, so it was like, all right, well, we got to start from level 1 again. It's like, and it's like, oh, well, your character progression and your XP and your levels but it's like I don't want to start back at level 1. Yeah, I did this, and I think the new Saints Row game is doing this where if you're playing it in co-op and you do a mission and then you come to it in single player, it's like checked off, and it'll say, do you want to replay this or do you want to skip it? Yep. I feel like that's like the best course of action that. Where, I don't know. Like, I'm really, when that news came out, I was really, it even got to the point where my buddies are like, I don't even know if I want to play this game.
It made it a single player game.
Yeah, so, I mean, maybe I'll just play it in single player, but I'm really excited. I do wonder what's coming out first, this or Starfield.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm like, I almost think Starfield comes out first.
Oh, really?
I didn't think of that.
Yeah,
I didn't even think of that.
I thought Redfall being for summer, and we didn't see. I guess once they decided they were going to push it, it's like, well, obviously we just saved it for E3. But it's like, give it even extra time. Like, I guess I don't know. Starfield probably needs more time as well, so we'll see.
Forza was the only one to get a window.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
they all got a window next 12 months, right?
No, Forza was the only one that. Forza was the only one to get the small window because there was the only one that said spring 2023.
There was a lot of months with no date, but we'll keep pushing.
I bet you
both those games are next summer. I think both those games are next summer.
I bet you Microsoft is crossing their fingers that Starfield at least for sure hits that fiscal year.
Yes.
100%, because they want, the Game Pass subs. I'm sure they have a goal in mind, and that number only matters at the end of the fiscal year. Mm-hmm. And if Starfield gets pushed to like holiday next year, they probably won't hit that target.
Because you have to find the spacing between those 3 games, right? Forza Motorsport 8, Redfall, and Starfield. Like, and if you only have, I guess technically speaking, we're looking 12 months. You got 6 months to release those 3 games.
Bro, think about this. If everything goes well and the Activision deal closes either later this year or early next year, they could have 7 games launching in the first 6 months of 2023. They got Forza Motorsport. They got Redfall. They have Starfield. They got Minecraft Legends. They got Ara History Untold. They would have Diablo 4 then. And then they would have Ghostwire Tokyo, presumably, if it's a 1-year exclusivity deal. That'd be 7 games in 6 months. Which is absurd, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
that's a lot.
I mean, didn't Matt Booty say they got like so much happening? It's kind of hard to schedule things right now with so many games. It's only going to be more impactful whenever, when, not if. I think this thing is going through. No big company doesn't get what they want anymore. You get, even if they get sued, they'll win and it'll be over with, right?
Yeah, if they can get the deal done. And then have Diablo 4 launch day 1 in Game Pass, like around that time. That you know how big that's gonna be. Whew. And then like maybe even I don't know if we're gonna talk about it, but like maybe the biggest announcement of the show, that Riot partnership.
Yes, that was next. Might as well jump into it, G.
I don't know. Maybe
what is Riot Games? Can y'all enlighten me? No,
I fell for it for a second.
Hey, no lie, I put on my serious. Like I was like, okay, well, Riot Games actually, it's a heavy PC. Like I was gonna get. Like,
I know. When you overhear a mother like trying to find a game for her child at the store, and then she turns to ask you a question. Okay, no, I'm ready for you. I got this. You get a serious face. Yeah.
My GameStop employee face.
They had to have spent a pretty penny on that deal.
Oh yeah. All the characters alone, free.
Here's the thing.
Game Pass, like
they're ready to write checks that size to everybody, though. It's just who's going to say yes. They figured out, like, wait, Riot would say yes to this because Riot has basically tapped out a huge portion of the market that they could reach, and they are just looking to get new people into that ecosystem. And so we can make this deal work with them because they will understand it. Riot will get this. It is the problem is all these other publishers are still very skittish about potentially there's no real evidence that this will happen, but they are worried that they could ruin the perceived value of their games if they go down the line with Game Pass. So far, every game that's done that has done pretty well and has continued to sell fine everywhere else, and has also sold pretty good on Xbox as well. Like, games will debut on Game Pass and they'll be the number 3 bestseller on Xbox and the number 3 bestseller on PlayStation. And down the line, the legs are a little bit weaker on Xbox. That's fair. But those first month sales are the biggest, and they're huge, and they're pretty equivalent, keeping in mind that there's more PlayStations than Xbox in the world. But most publishers get to this point where they're like, we believe that this game could sell and we'll make more money if we don't go with Xbox, even if they're willing to give us a bunch of money up front. And then we're worried about what the next game will sell like if people expect it to be on Game Pass at that point. Like, once the toothpaste is out of the tube, it's hard to put it back in, and a lot of these companies are afraid of that. And so many of them are getting in these conversations with Microsoft and saying no. And Riot was one that was very happy to say yes.
I know this is a PC and mobile centric. A lot of people, and we talked about this, Baron, in the chat during the show. People are excited. They were thinking Xbox, and I was like, yeah, you should think Xbox as a brand, not as the console, because these games aren't coming to console, right? But isn't Wild Rift?
League of Legends Wild Rift is on console, yeah?
Is it? That's my next question. I know Wild Rift.
If it's not, it's coming to Wild Rift. They announced from the beginning was always supposed to be a console game. If it's not on console now, it's coming. Like that is happening on Xbox.
Oh,
you heard it here first.
You definitely heard it when they announced it.
Jeff's right. When they announced that game, it said it was for console. It's just not on console yet.
So that my story from GamesBeat.com when I worked there.
That will likely be the sole console get of this, right? It's Wild Rift, right? I mean, there's no chance maybe that Valorant ever hits console.
I think Valorant ends up on console in like a couple of years, but because like eventually this is what happens. Valorant's a free to play game. Eventually, like, it becomes harder to get that churn that you need of like bringing in new players on PC. And so what's a good way of reaching a new audience? To put it on new platforms. if you're a free-to-play shooter, eventually every single free-to-play shooter is going to be everywhere. So they'll be on PC maybe first, then they're going to be on console, and they're going to be on mobile. We've seen Apex Legends do this exact thing. Call of Duty. Every Call of Duty is like leading the charge on this strategy. Yeah. Well, Fortnite was leading the charge on the strategy, but every game wants to be Fortnite. So I think eventually, I know Valorant on console sounds weird to anyone who plays a lot of Valorant. I think, CSGO was on console, and obviously it has come and gone. But Valorant will probably end up on console and have a few years where it makes some money and Riot's happy with it or whatever. And then maybe the PC version's the one that lives on for like 20 years. But I think it will come to console eventually.
Do you think this what breaks the seal for a lot of those companies that are saying no? Like, does this Riot deal help like grease the wheels? Like, hey, look, and maybe they show some numbers. Like, look, they're successful.
A little bit. I think it's greasing the wheels is probably a good way of putting it. It's like many of these deals kind of building up over time.
Who was that?
That was not me.
Who was ran, right? Do it again.
That wasn't me. No.
That was Delilah. Hashtag Ben.
Exclusive. That's all I got.
We got him. Cut the feed.
I forgot what I was talking about. Where were we going?
No, about
you're gonna leak all the information.
Okay, that's Delilah. I seen she too smooth.
Yeah, I was gonna say like the MLB deal happened 2 years in a row, and Outriders, like Square Enix is like probably not good because Square Enix is going to be like is going to say whatever, and no one's going to believe them because Square Enix is just an awfully run company. But there's a few deals where it's like, oh, these companies did this deal and they went back the year after and they seem to be really happy with it. And all these indie publishers keep talking about how they make these deals and it pays for development right on day one, and it frees them up to make all kinds of money on other platforms. It's just like profit at that point, and they seem really happy with that stuff. This stuff's going to build up over time, and eventually they're going to get to the point where everyone is like, okay, we're going to take the plunge with this. We are going to believe in this, and we need to shake things up. We need to make sure that we have a really good quarter. Microsoft's going to guarantee that for us, so we're going to pull the trigger on it. But it's just going to take a little bit more time, and I think a little bit more confidence, because no one's willing to be the one person who makes this leap and screws up and slips on the banana peel, right? So everyone's afraid of failure, everyone's afraid of risk. So it's going to take one company with leadership that is willing to take that risk and come along and really prove that the biggest of big games can make that move from third party $70, $60 game or whatever to Game Pass day one, and yet still make enough money to justify all the things, all their costs and everything. So it'll happen. It's going to be a slow build.
I'm with that.
I mean, Sega seems pretty happy with Game Pass right now.
Yes, they do. Yeah, I think it's Sega seems like the one that might be the most. Yeah, I mean, Sonic Frontiers, right? Does that end up on Game Pass day one?
Probably.
I think that's real likely.
Not if they want that whole thing of Game Passes for bad games, because that game. That's
true. Microsoft might be the one to say no in that case.
Yeah.
Well, everybody keeps asking me. Everybody keeps on asking me, like, what does Xbox do for the fall? Because you don't got Starfield and Redfall. So it's like, what game do you go after? And there's really not that many.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter's got PlayStation marketing, so that can't happen. Modern Warfare 2, same thing. The only one that comes to mind is Gotham Knights.
I've been screaming that one for a while.
They did do the deal with Warner Brothers for Back 4 Blood last year. And maybe there is okay, it's got co-op. We know Xbox like co-op games for Game Pass, but I don't know. At some point, Jeff, if you're Xbox, do you make that deal? Like, do you just throw a bunch of money at Gotham Knights simply because it's the only game that they can possibly get that's big enough?
I think the way you're framing it, that's the way it would work, right? Where there is just a team at Microsoft trying to make a deal like this, and they have a budget, and they're ready to spend that money. And if they run out of options, you sort of like, it's the bar, it's the end of the night, and there's the the ugly person across the bar. And you're like, well, I guess I'm going home with them. Like that's might be the situation here, where like this is the only option they have. So.
Jesus, Jeff.
All right, fine.
No, you got it. But I don't know, man. I thought the wall was bigger than that.
Get it.
No, great announcement. We get it.
No, great. It was just like, ow.
Everyone was kind of like, damn.
Like, they down bad.
There's somebody somewhere
Can I
just
have
like,
some more games, please.
there's somebody somewhere up
The
there.
Gotham Knights. That's a fine comparison, right? Yeah.
Oh, night,
Gotham Knights of
come
people.
this way,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
Assuming Gotham Knights even comes out.
Oh,
Oh, Lord.
don't
Exclusive.
write the articles. Write the damn articles. Rand. But Delilah, I do want to come to you because Rand did bring up Sega. Was it last year when we got the Yakuza titles in Game Pass? The year before last? Is this like the second year or second or the third year we get a big Japanese game that's typically not on Xbox? I do want to get your thoughts on them getting the Persona games on Xbox and the trend of Phil Spencer being a man of his word and saying, "Hey, we are trying. Like, it's not for a lack of trying. We're trying to get these big titles over here that's typically aligned with PlayStation for no other reason, but they're just not important to Xbox." So the importance of the Persona games being on this platform, along with the Yakuza games, and what that means going forward.
I think it's huge. I mean, if you even look at like how well the Series S is doing in that area too, it's like, man, they're definitely trying in that region. And so when you see that kind of thing and you see it grow over there, I can easily see that other developers will have more interest as well. I mean, people pay attention, and gamers have been loud about the Japanese support. Twitter is an echo chamber.
It's
right?
louder than people think. I don't think people give Twitter enough credit for how loud it can be.
I agree with that. And so, I mean, people spend millions and millions of money on social media in general and making sure that the messaging's right and things like that. So yeah, they definitely pay attention. I'm glad. For me personally, it's a great get. I mean, I mentioned that earlier. So yeah, I don't. It's nothing really much more for me to speak to other than that. I can't wait to play them. And
I got Persona 5 somewhere.
October, right?
And never opened the case.
Did they say the date for it?
Persona 5 Royale, October 21st?
First? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just threw that out there. Was I right? Good God, I'm psychic.
What else had that date though? So there was another game that had that same date. I can't remember what title that was that had it, but yeah.
Shout out to the chat.
I just think it's interesting that they decided to do Persona 5 Royale first. I thought it was going to kind of build up to 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
Why is it called Persona 3 Portable when it's on console?
It was originally released for the PlayStation, for the PS Vita, PSP.
Okay.
For handheld, there's PlayStation 3, PlayStation 3, or Persona 3. There's Persona 3 Portable and Persona 3 Fez. And I think true fans of the series, this is my understanding, prefer Persona 3 Portable. They think that's the best one.
Okay.
Yeah, and someone in chat said Scorn is also on that date.
I'm good on that, bro. It's like sliding them. I don't want to. But listen, it's two things I want to address really quickly. Three things. Number one, hit the like button if you're watching. Number two, Rand, are you the snitch?
No.
Everyone assumes that you're the snitch.
No, nobody assumes that.
Says the snitch.
You're not the snitch, and everyone keeps saying, "Go ahead and confirm Final Fantasy VII tomorrow." Where y'all getting tomorrow from? I keep saying that, like, announce it for tomorrow that it's coming tomorrow.
Enix is having their showcase.
Yeah, there's a whole showcase.
A Final Fantasy VII anniversary event.
Yes. If they was announced that, they would have had to announce that at the Xbox show, right? I don't think.
Maybe, but they're announcing it for more than just the Xbox platform. I don't know, not about Final Fantasy VII Remastered, but the thing that they're announcing, which is probably Crisis Core, he's probably right about that. Yeah. Is going to be for Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC.
Also, at the same time as the Dragon Dogma's 10th anniversary.
They're happening at the same time tomorrow. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. Yeah.
Everybody, get your summoning circles right. Call. We need that.
You know,
I just hope it's not another Netflix show. Like, I hope they're actually like give a Dragon Dogma 2.
There was a bunch of people that thought they were going to announce Dragon Dogma 2 at the Capcom Showcase a couple days ago.
Yep, I was one of
So
them.
that didn't
I had my
happen.
summoning circles.
Maybe it happens here.
Humdrum Dog says Rand, Grubb, and Henderson are all candidates for the snitch. I kind of
Maybe
hope.
it's Jazz.
Oh,
Jez is
there we
from
go.
Europe. Like they used the
Yeah.
European date format. I bet it's Jez.
I hope
We
I
got it.
hope we never discover who the snitch is. Just let him
Right.
be.
We won't.
Just let him be. Listen, we're gonna jump into the darling of the show, and I'm gonna bounce over to you, Jeff, because we finally saw Starfield. After people being super excited for it, being hyped for it, some people being down on it. We finally got to see gameplay, and then it was instantly, after the show, being compared to No Man's Sky in a lot of different ways, right? So I do want to get your thoughts on what we saw with Starfield and these, in my opinion, unnecessary comparisons to No Man's Sky.
I get the immediate knee-jerk reaction comparison to No Man's Sky. Like, you're using lasers to blast resources off a wall, and you're going to gather those resources and do something with it. Like, that stuff is in No Man's Sky. The difference is that No Man's Sky does not have a Skyrim equivalent handcrafted campaign in the middle of it that if you want to just stay on a critical path, you will get that. Like, all of Bethesda's RPGs have had critical paths that make it very easy to know where to go to do the next thing if that's what you want. The joy of a Bethesda RPG is that there is so much that during that first playthrough, it feels like, well, if anywhere I go and if I choose to do the next thing on my own, I'm immediately crafting my own story that will be completely unique to me. And so now taking that idea and extrapolating it into an entire like mini galaxy worth of places to go, it's like, well, now this is going to be so unique. And the fact that there's things I'm going to miss, it just makes the things that I choose to do and the things I do see more powerful to me. Like that is the magic of Bethesda RPGs. It sounds like they know exactly what they're doing with this. And if there's some resource stuff and go and exploring empty planets, which there absolutely will be, you can compare that to No Man's Sky. But if that's not what you want, if you don't want that, don't do it. Like, just go do the campaign. Stick to the story. I promise you, Bethesda gives you the option. If you just want to stick to the story and have the next thing in front of you, they will give you that option. They always have. So, yeah, I came out of this feeling a little bit like, man, I was not expecting it to look so much like a Bethesda game. And so, like, that's where I was a little shocked. I'm like, it just looks like another one of their games. And now I'm like, oh wait, that's what I want. And also, all of the criticisms I'm seeing from people online are like people who just don't understand what this game was ever going to be, and might not have liked Skyrim before, and now they're just like, well, what if this game is like this? I'm like, that sounds awesome. You're just wrong and bad at games. I'm like, okay, wait, calm down, Jeff. It's okay. But I'm like, just chill. It just sounds like you people need to like get your hands on with this before you begin imagining some game in your mind that does not exist and this game is not. So mostly I'm like kind of ready just to play this game and let it do its thing. And if it does the Bethesda game stuff in space with a few extra tricks and sort of a scope that is slightly bigger in terms of the main campaign and then vastly bigger in terms of just this world you can explore and discover stuff on your own, it's going to work for me.
Yes.
But Jeff, there's 1,000 planets. What if I don't know explore them all?
Yeah. Right. Todd Howard's going to come to your house. He's going to break in your window.
With
He's
his
going to have a
leather
SWAT
jacket.
team with him. He's going to make you explore them. And that's how video games work. So you're going to have to. I'm sorry. Too bad for them.
Damn it.
Exclusive.
Delilah, I love the face you made, Delilah, when I started this topic, because you definitely
it just
snarled
it
at
annoys
that.
me a little bit. It annoys me a little bit. I mean, No Man's Sky does not have 200,000 lines of dialogue in it. Like, come on. We already know what kind of games that BGS create.
How many people work in No Man's Sky? Like at most 25? Like how many people work in Bethesda Game Studios? Like this is not me putting down No Man's Sky. It is a different thing. And that's okay to be a different thing.
It's a different game.
They are obviously just coming from completely different places.
But Delilah, your thoughts
I'm
on
annoyed by the comparison. I am so annoyed by the comparison because it's just, I mean, it's clearly different. I mean, they had a segment in the presentation that talked about the story alone and the fragments and all of this, and it's like, come on, you're not getting that level of fidelity with No Man's Sky. You're just not.
So for Starfield itself, like, how did you feel it was presented? Like, did it live up to what you were expecting?
To me, it did, but you gotta think about me for a second. I love BGS games, and I love Skyrim, and I love Oblivion. And so for me, it's like I can see the progression. I can see the better facial animations. I can see the better walk animations, and the way, like, to me, that was always my gripe with BGS was, can you get the animations right, please? Like, can you figure? It was just those little nuanced things that other games will have better fidelity in those parts, but BGS was always missing that. They had great story and things like that, great crafting, and you could touch everything in the world and move this object here, and just the lore, but they never could nail down those like details that other games had. And for me, it was facial animations and walk animations and riding the horse and all of that that stood out. So I was happy. For me, it was like, yes, okay, they got it. They're refining some of these details. So yeah, for me, it was a 9 out of 10.
I got a real serious question. Like, how many space forks am I going to be able to pick up? Like,
it's
like
astronomical.
He did it. No. Yeah, we're nerds. Move on.
Yep. Go for us. Astronomical. I said it. I'll say it again.
Maybe it'll be 1,000. No, but folks, I'm like, what did you expect? Like, I went into this expecting a better Bethesda game studio game, and I'm just glad they didn't mention, and I hope it never gets there, multiplayer. Like, that's what really
God knows.
That's what gave me hope, and like really let me know that it was gonna be a day one regardless, right? Like, I was in the day one with 76.
It's the essence of it for me.
Yeah, like just
like it has that. Every part of it reminds me of Skyrim in space, and that's all. That's all I
wanted. Yeah, that's all I wanted. And but wait, guys, but you can't fly. You can't.
The whole planet thing. So,
now I will say it is beautiful in No Man's Sky, but then look at what you're losing out.
Is anybody complaining about Destiny? Doesn't Destiny do that? Don't you get in the plane, you watch a loading screen, then
you spend real money to get ships in Destiny? Look, like, see, Destiny, why you gotta do all that? Why you gotta do all that?
No one's talking about that. Right. Everybody, they just want to talk about the whole
Bungie over here. Like, why?
It's like it's what happens with Spider-Man. Like, the game's not out. People get anxious about what they think is going to be wrong with it, and then when this game comes out, I guarantee we never talked about the puddles again once Spider-Man came out. And when this game comes out, we will never talk about taking off of the ship and what happens then. Like, is it pre-rendered, or is it a cutscene, or you get to actually fly? No one will care. They will just talk about the things they like in the game. It's just before the game comes out, we imagine all these things that could go wrong. And it's like, oh man, what if I don't like this or this or this or this? And there's some people who do that in bad faith, obviously, but there's also a lot of people who are just genuinely anxious about, like, oh man, I've been looking forward to this for so long. I hope I like this and this. Oh, and that doesn't sound exactly like what I imagined in my head for 8 years. And so they just build up on it, and it kind of gets out of hand. But once it comes out, we will never talk about this again.
Yeah, and if you're really big on Starfield and stuff, Mr. Matty Plays did a great job of breaking down the trailer. He did a fantastic job. And I got so much information from just his breakdown.
Well, he knows more about that than anybody does, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's been following it forever, right? So.
Yes, he is.
Seriously.
Hey, Rand, did Starfield for you did live up to the hype? Just this little bit that we seen. And I'm glad they ended the show with it. It got like 15 minutes. Did it live up to the hype for you?
Yeah, I think it did. I liked what I saw of it. I'm a sucker for sci-fi, bro. I'm like, you show me a sci-fi game, that's something I'm super interested in. I don't really like Fallout that much. I do really like Elder Scrolls. So like, this is kind of just like, oh, it's sci-fi, I'm there day one. And I'm going to be the type of person, initially when they were like, oh, it's 1,000 planets, and I'm just like, well, bigger's not better, but like, I'm not going to be the person that explores everywhere. Like, I'll be the person who does the main story and, maybe does a couple side quests on the planets and stuff. But I like what I saw, and I kind of got a hot take here because I feel like the discourse around this game is primarily kind of centered around who's publishing the game.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's not on certain platforms. I don't know. Like, I sort of feel like...
I don't think that's a hot take. I think that's just
fanboy
naming reality.
This game... wasn't this game almost...
out the truth.
Wasn't it almost a time PlayStation exclusive? Like, didn't they try?
Yep. Got very close. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I see a lot of fake concern about certain things, and it's just like, would this be a thing if it was a multi-platform title? Like, I don't think it is. I don't think it would be. So I don't know. I don't know what they can do to address that. I just, these are sort of things that just get thrown their way because of, you know, the platform they're associated with. But I mean, the No Man's Sky comparisons were obvious the second they brought out a laser to bring down
Right.
the
It was
freaking
gonna be
rock.
right,
It was
yeah.
just like,
Right.
well, this isn't, undeniable that it's going to be this. But I'm excited. And it's going to be, geez, I mean, you're talking about probably one of the biggest launches for Xbox this gen. I mean, I think
Between
it'd
this
be-
and last gen, I mean,
yeah, I mean, I think it probably is going to be bigger than Halo Infinite. I mean,
Yeah.
right up there with.
it almost
maybe-
has to be though, right?
Well, yeah, and maybe even bigger. I mean, look how big Forza Horizon. You can make the argument Forza Horizon 5 is bigger than Halo at this point, or the Forza Horizon series. I think you're talking about a game that could probably even eclipse Forza Horizon in the first month. You're talking about a game that's going to
almost
sell
certainly, yes.
like Game Pass subscriptions like up the wazoo, and then it's going to sell so many copies on PC, and it's just we're talking about one of the biggest game launches that's going to happen. You know, so I didn't play Fallout 4 at launch, so it's been a while since I played a BGS game, but you know, I'll be there day one for this one. I just hope like we don't play it and we're just like, oh, Bethesda's back, great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think as long as it's not game breaking stuff, like the games they make are more complicated than like people just don't accept this. That like being able to pick up every fork, and if that doesn't matter to you, that doesn't matter to you, I get why you're like, well, I don't care about that. Just take that out and make a game that's not buggy. But for me, the fact that everything is an object in the world that is interactable, and I can pick it up and I can throw it, and I can decide. Today, I'm just going to be a kleptomaniac who just collects every single person's coffee mug out of their house. And if I see one, that is mine now. And it's going on my ship. And when my ship gets full, I'm going to take it to this moon. And I'm going to cover this entire moon in coffee cups. And to me, that's gaming. That's video games. And so please leave that for me. And if it means that a few bugs happen, I don't give a shit. I don't care. Like, yeah, bugs happen. That's just the price I'm willing to pay. But I get there's a line. And at a certain point, bugs do matter. And as long as they don't cross that line, I think we'll be okay.
I was gonna bring up the same thing to Hugger because do you have any? I don't use the word fears, right? I don't want to fear among people of this game being as big as it is and as important as it seemed to be on a new engine, and already having that moniker of Bethesda, like Rand said, but being on a new engine, and any fears that we might run into those like. We're a month in and we're getting articles about don't do this in Starfield because you will break the game.
I'm not concerned. Fame, one of my favorite games is Anthem, so I'm not the person to come to. I'm never gonna uninstall it, even when the servers.
Hey, I'll play Avengers. Don't feel bad.
That's true.
I love Avengers.
Avengers?
Every day.
Thank you, Rand. Thank you, Rand.
Every day.
Oh,
Every day.
thank you.
Let me mute my mic.
I'm a Thor main. I'm a Thor
Shame
main.
him.
Sorry.
He carries Majorn with him as he plays.
I do.
Yeah, I'm not the person to ask about fears. I'll work around it.
RP
I love
Black
because
Panther.
The game's enough.
Wow.
He admitted that on main.
No, I do not RP Avengers.
His keyboard is damaged from the claws that he wears.
Listen, it's a fun game, and it actually got a Xbox Game Pass perk. Well, I was like, "Yo, people are coming back to my game," and I was excited, dude.
Heresy.
Listen, we're not gonna talk bad about Avengers, bro. The game needs a second chance, and y'all should all play it. And you should all play it and enjoy it.
Your second and third chance came and went a long time ago, bro.
Burn it.
Damn.
Before we get to the very last part of the show, I do want to ask a panel, this overall in general, because I did put it in the title of the show, and I want to ask you guys, was this show, for what it was it a success? Did they do what they set out to do? Do you guys believe this is the right path going forward?
I think it's I think it's the right choice for where their goals are, which is to sell Game Pass, and then when they look at it, like their near future, and they're like, okay, what show do we need to do because of what our schedule looks like? Well, like, hey, Starfield is about 9 to 12 months away. That's our biggest game. We need to sell that before we really start talking about anything else. And so should we just do that? Like, when you look at all of the circumstantial evidence, it's very clear that this is the show that they wanted to do, and on their terms, I think it was a success. And I think for me, like as just someone who wants to consume gaming content and stuff like that, once I was able to come to terms with that stuff, it was very easy for me to be happy with it. And in the moment, it was just a little disappointing, but overall, I was pretty happy with what they showed. And there was a lot of games that I know I'm going to play and at least give a chance. Like there's dozens of games I'm at least going to try. So I think it's a success. I think they just in the future should balance between what their needs are and what the expectations of gamers are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I got a question though for Jeff.
Please.
So we had Fallout 76 and ESO show up as well as Sea of Thieves. Does it
Yeah.
say anything about Halo Infinite no showing?
I mean, it
good
probably
thing.
says a little bit that they are still like there's no surprise. Oh, hey, we're going to be able to drop a ton of stuff before we said we would. Like they already have a timeline out there of stuff, and then that's what they're focused on. I think that it just means that timeline hasn't changed and it isn't moving up. I think Halo probably just gets its own sort of attention somewhere else when they're ready to talk about it, and they're just not ready to talk about it. Like that game's
Inside
not
Xbox.
Yeah, it's not going to
presents-
fade away. They're not going to let it fade away. They'll figure out a way to keep bringing it back.
I mean, what's the next opportunity to even talk about? I mean, will there be an
They could
XO?
always do it. They could always do an XO at the end of the year if they're feeling like it. I
Game
don't know if they
Awards,
will.
maybe?
The Game Awards is where they definitely will show up. They'll definitely bring something there, whether or not that's Halo. I mean, Jeff Keighley would take it if they have a Halo thing to announce. He would let it in there. So they always know they have the opportunity to do that. So
I feel like you got to be careful because I feel like you're treading dangerous waters with Halo a little bit. That like you need to sort of soft relaunch that game at some point.
But I think that's where they're at, right? That's why they don't. That's why they don't bring it here, because like the next time they're going to talk about it, they need to have here is the torrential downpour of content that you need to prepare yourself for the next 6 months to a year. It starts today. There's a lot of stuff, but in 2 months, here's going to be another big thing, and then 6 months from now, here is a massive new mode, and that's on top of the mode that's launching today. Like that's where they need to be, and it's not there yet.
Yeah, do you think that starts with that rumored battle royale mode?
I mean, I think that's got to be the central pillar of it.
Has to
be.
Whatever certain affinities gameplay mode is has to be the thing that really turns this game around. And if it's not, then this game is probably in a bit of trouble. Yeah.
Would there be another download? Like a separate?
No, it would be just part of the game. I think so. I think so.
Keep it in house.
Yeah, I mean, it worked for Modern Warfare and Warzone, right? Yeah, I think it would be fine.
That works. Rand, any before we switch to the last thing of the show, any closing thoughts on whether or not the show was a success?
I mean, I guess it defines like success to who is a success to Microsoft.
Success.
I mean,
Cool.
Success. Yeah. No, I watched the extended showcase and I was hoping somebody would screw up saying Project Moorcroft like I did on my show.
Oh, you mean when you said
nobody did.
Moorcock?
Yeah. But I guess it's just me. No, so I think looking at for me, like Jeff said, once I got into the mindset of, okay, well, we ain't seen Avowed, and we're not seeing Contraband, and we're not seeing all these games that I had predicted in my video, because I was like, this stuff's going to be here, sure. Once I was like, oh, okay, it's just 1 year. Yeah, I thought it was a solid show. Success for Microsoft. I mean, you look at some of the metrics online, Jeff Keighley's poll is like 40% A.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Like 75% like A and B. I mean, they got to be happy with that because like Jeff Keighley's own show was like rated a C by people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure internally they're probably happy with the reception. Will that turn into Game Pass subscriptions? I mean, that's we'll find out. But I think it was probably a success for what they were trying to do with like, hey, this is what you're playing the next year. Get excited. You have a whole bunch of diverse content for, there's something here for you. I will say, though, the one thing, a lot of people's reactions, though, that were kind of interesting to see. When Jez showed me the documentation on Pentiment, right, Jeff, it had that image of the king sitting on his throne, right? So I knew what the game looked like. But Jez didn't want any, like, we couldn't tease what it looked like, right? So I'm like, maybe we shouldn't really talk about this game because I guarantee you nobody expects Pentiment to look like what Pentiment is going to look like. And sure enough, when I watched the reactions to that, people aren't happy with how that game looked.
I don't know. It was good. I like the art style.
I mean, I saw people freaking out because I think maybe the Disco Elysium comparisons paints a picture in your head when you're trying to imagine something.
Okay.
So when you see the art style for Pentiment, like I saw someone who was like, no, what is this? Like, this is disgusting. And,
you know what it is? It is just the art style of the time that it's trying to capture. Like it is taking the artwork from that time. I feel that game was never going to be for those people. The people that are reacting that way are the list war people who just want a game with AAA graphics that they can put on their list and say that it's going to be something and the people who are going to be into a Josh Sawyer RPG about investigating a murder mystery as an artist that has like double meanings in its name, where it's like, a pentiment is a picture that you cover up with another painting and you could chip away at the layers and see what's underneath. But like, really, this is about chipping away the layers of history to find out what really happened. It's like, okay, this is not for list war people. This is for people who actually like video games. So I'm probably going to like it because I like video games.
I've been saying that a lot. People not liking video games.
I mean, it's like most of the problems that we hear from these people are just like, oh, I don't like video games is what they're really saying. And this is a video game, so they might not like it.
It needs to be a AAA.
Where's the pew pews?
Over the shoulder, double barrel shotgun. Delilah, before we get to the last topic, the last part of the show, I do want to swing it over to you and get your thoughts on whether or not this show, for what it is, was this successful? What did they accomplish? Things that you expected or wanted from them?
Yeah, for me, I think it's a learning moment for the industry because this resets the expectation on how these showcases and E3-esque shows should go. I love that it's this first time seeing but soon playing type thing. Because think about it, Callisto Protocol, our first time seeing Callisto Protocol, and that's coming out in the fall. You got High on Life, that's the first time seeing
High on Life looks amazing.
That looks
right, and that's coming out in the fall. Plague Tale Requiem, we've seen that game, but seeing the gameplay of it and knowing that it's coming soon, for me, it definitely was a success. And I like the palate cleansing, like pretty much like an industry gut check, if you will. Like we don't have to show things far out if they're not ready. So, yeah, it's a success.
And again, I had a much deeper respect for the show after watching it again because I let my expectations ruin what turned out to be a very, very solid showcase. Like, I think it's important to know what I'm playing in the next 12 months. But you guys know we don't like to hold everyone's time up too long. So at the end of the show, we like to do one important thing. We like to give the audience suggestions of things to watch and or play, whether it's a movie, anime, video game, something that you may have played that you thought was super dope. You're not getting a lot of talk about it. Something you have watched and maybe a lot of people have not been watching. In the chat, if you guys drop some of those, I will be reading those out. And I'm going to swing over to you, B. I'm going to start with you. Your suggestions for the people who are watching to watch and or play for this week.
Go get your K-drama on and start right with Boys Over Flowers.
You love that movie.
First off, it's a show. And yeah, get it right. Difference. 26 episodes, hour each.
Get it a picture.
Motion picture. No, but yeah, Boys Over Flowers. Gunju Pyo got the cleanest perm on earth. That's my recommendation.
No games?
Oh, games to play. Not the Avengers, not Marvel's Avengers. You guys make sure, there's a lot of things on Game Pass that are in and around that one, and you can just have fun. Enjoy yourselves.
I hope you shit yourself in your sleep tonight. Because when you poop in your sleep, you poop for real.
Exclusive.
All right, sis. Flo Hugger, what you got this week, love?
Go play Sniper Elite 5. I've been having fun playing that, and the invasion mode is very stressful. And go watch. I'm gonna stay on the K-drama. Go watch Uncanny Counter.
Yes! So good.
Okay.
Sorry. Uncanny Counter is fire. It's fire.
I cried. Uncanny
Counter is fire. Go watch it. Great suggestion. Delilah HD from Grown Woman Gaming. What do you suggest for people to watch and or play this week?
Oh man, for me, I would say as far as game, Echo Generation, because the team that created Echo Generation is working on Ravenlock that was in the showcase, and it looks great. So I'm excited about that after completing Echo Generation, definitely. And I'm still playing through Scarlet Nexus. So yeah, those are two games I would recommend. As far as to watch, if you haven't been to the movies, go see Top Gun Maverick.
It's the best.
I absolutely love that movie.
I want to go back and see it again and again.
Yep.
Yes.
Easily one of the best movies I've ever seen.
All the feels in that movie. Check it out. So that would be my two. If I had to pick a TV show, since I would say I'm still pretty early in Stranger Things. So Stranger Things season 4. Yep, that's it. We got
I'm pronouncing this wrong. Tayo. I apologize. Go read TMNT, The Last Ronin, or Darker TMT Story, and get ready for Shredder's Revenge, which is tomorrow. I believe. Yes. Right? That 6-player co-op that's Game Pass. There you go. That 6-player co-op is dope. I'm definitely looking forward to that. One bad mother, thank you for coming through and rocking with us. Rand, your suggestions. You think something that you have seen, something that you have played, you think other people should go check out?
I'm quite enjoying The Quarry right now. But I'm a
game? Is it scary?
Yes. Yes. Okay, yeah. Yes.
It's like an 80s
slasher film. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's from Supermassive Games. They've done Until Dawn on the PS4. Mm-hmm. They also do the Dark Pictures games. Mm-hmm. It's very much like it's very much like a Telltale game. It's kind of an interactive movie. I would say
it's definitely a no for me, dog.
I would say, as for watching, I finished Stranger Things, the new season. I think it was incredible. I'd recommend that. But since Delilah said that, I'll choose something different. The new season of Umbrella Academy starts this week.
Really? Holy crap!
Yeah,
I'm ready.
3.
I'm ready.
So I really like Umbrella Academy. And I would definitely recommend, if you haven't watched it, to check that out.
Minnie Yeti in the chat says, I got suggestions. Everyone play Pokemon Unite, especially Rand. Rand, you ain't play Pokemon Unite yet?
No. Look, I said this. I've said this on my show repeatedly. Jeb's forced me to play Pokemon Shield. And I honestly think it is honestly one of the worst games I've ever played in my entire life.
Wow.
Played trash for Gamerscore for a long time. I played Hannah Montana and My Horse and Me Too and Barbie Puppy Rescue. A bunch of garbage. And I will tell you now that Pokemon Shield is one of the worst. I wanted to kill myself when I was playing that game. I don't understand. I tell this to Miles Dampier all the time. I'm like, this is literally made for 12-year-olds. Like, why are you playing this?
Like Minnie Yeti, what did you do?
Jesus.
He dropped the nade and ran off.
I think Minnie Yeti set me up to read that. He knows Rand hates Pokemon. He also said, additionally, watch Obi-Wan episodes 5 and watch Spy Family. Finally play TMNT tomorrow. I saw another one here. Oh, I lost it. No. It was Flames. Flames. I recommend the anime Faraway Paladin, a wholesome anime that also deals with some very heavy themes. Walt says play Metal Hellsinger to read Vagabond manga, to watch The Boys on Prime Video. The first episode of Boys, you got to prepare yourself. My God. And to eat suggestion, okay, try mofongo, a standard Puerto Rican dish. I hope I pronounced that right. If I didn't, I apologize. Is a mash of fried plantains, the crunchy pork skins, and garlic. Sounds delicious.
Ooh, sounds good.
Don says The Boys season 3. We got a lot of The Boys love. I'm like 3 episodes in. So I gotta watch the 4th episode. That's on the first episode.
I don't know if anybody's else like this, but I wait till the episodes are done and then I binge it. I cannot do weekly releases.
Netflix has spoiled us.
That's right.
Yeah,
I mean, because like then I know if it's going to be worth my time also. Because by the end, people are like, "Oh, that was crap." Actually,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, now I don't have to subscribe. I could just go watch them all at once or skip.
And then Luke loves that laugh. B never change. Jeff, your suggestions for folks to watch, or play.
So to watch, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, I believe, is on video on demand. This is a movie where Nicolas Cage plays a person called Nicolas Cage.
Oh, I want to see that. That looks really good.
And he gets put in a situation where he has to use his skills that he's learned from acting in movies to get out of real world problems. And it's about, I think it's about as fun as that should sound like. That should sound like, oh, that sounds like a good time. It's a good time. Check that out. I think that's a good one.
Is that in theaters only, or is that somewhere?
I think it was in theaters, and now I think it's on video on demand. It might be on streaming somewhere, but it's definitely on video on demand. And then in terms of games, the things like E3 just kind of happened, or at least like what we now call, Summer Game Fest or whatever. I still call it E3, whatever. It used to be the kind of thing where you could go to and play a bunch of games, and developers used to make a bunch of demos and stuff, and vertical slices is what we would call it in the industry. And we get a chance to sit down and actually try a bunch of stuff that was unreleased. These developers still do this, and they just put it on places like Steam now. It's Steam Next Fest. Don't ignore this stuff. You have a chance now. The world has changed. They just put these things out for everyone to play. Go on there, find Angerfoot, Metal Hellsinger, Melatonin is one that stuck to me. If you're a fan of Rhythm Heaven on DS and Wii, those classic Nintendo rhythm games. Someone made one of those, but it's about a person in their dreams. It's fantastic. Agent 64, Spies Never Die. That's like a GoldenEye 64 spiritual successor. It's incredible. Just go on Steam Next Fest. Look at what appeals to you and download it and play it. Just play these games. It's worth it. It's the same exact experience I would have got at a show floor if it existed this year. So don't miss out.
Potion permit. I'll shut up now.
That's what's up. Dragonheart says I recommend Knocker Battle Point. That game was shown at the Xbox Showcase. I believe it's on a console. It's for the insiders right now, but it'll be on Game Pass here fairly shortly. For me, do I have to say it? I know what the game is going to be. Avengers, right?
Oh, my God.
Go play Avengers because the game is dope. And sticking with that theme, go watch Ms. Marvel. I thought the first episode got a lot of unnecessary hate, but I loved it, and I'm going to watch the second episode.
I've seen nothing but love for it. I've seen nothing but love for that show.
Miss
out on it?
Love from critics, hate from
from weirdos. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about the weirdos.
Yeah. So, but episode 2 dropped today. So if you had to have the opportunity to go and check that out. Listen, Delilah, Jeff, Rand, I appreciate y'all's time today. Seriously, if you guys coming out and rocking with us, it was a hell of a time. I hope you guys had fun. We'd like to have a lot of fun in here and laugh on this podcast. Anything before we dip up out, anything you guys want to say, promo, anything you got going, happening, anything before we dip?
I'm a Giant Bomb, and I start a new daily news show tomorrow, and I want people to tune in. So giantbomb.com/chat. Twitch.tv/GiantBomb. It's tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern. We're going to be working out the kinks. It's going to be a little bit of building the plane while in the air. But we got some ideas, and we're ready to get started, and I'm very excited. So it's going to be every weekday except for Tuesdays where we're going to do the Bombcast, and we'll talk about the news on there.
Okay. Looking forward to that. Shout out to you, Jeff, doing big things. Rand growing like crazy, man. I remember Rand when he had 5,000 subs back at Tick, and I wrote an article based off on his videos, and I got told, why you making articles off of some weird YouTube? And I'm like, bro, it's Randy, cool. And now look at him.
Yeah, I barely make any videos because I burnt myself out on it. So how fun is that?
and of
it's
course,
true. Sometimes content creation, you're just like, God, I really don't want to spend the next 3 hours making this video. I'm not going to make this video. Well, I'm just tired of it. Yeah, I mean, we always do the Xbox 2 podcast, me and Jez, every Friday, mostly
show.
Fridays, sometimes on Saturdays. I interview Jez. That's the whole thing, right? I'm Randall Chop Liver, Randall Nobody.
They come for Jazz Rand.
Yeah, I mean, no. I mean, they don't come for Jez. I mean, a lot of people. I don't know what what's like for Jeff, but when you leak stuff, there's always a contingent of people that are like, tell us something new, or new information. It's like you can't. It's not always new information to give. People. So
also I don't like bothering. Like I got my sources. Sometimes I want to like not text them about this stuff and just like have conversations with them and leave them alone. So
keep those relationships tight.
Yeah, let's like. You only want me for my sources and stuff like that.
Yeah.
No, let's have a real relationship here. Let's like look me in the eyes. That's how I feel.
Thanks for having me on. It's a good time, and most shows are like 2.5, 3 hours. So I was stunned when you're like, oh, we're done already. I'm like,
I got
okay.
pizza waiting. I'm ready to
Yeah,
go.
yeah, man. One thing we like to keep people. We don't like to keep people alone, man. People got stuff to do. People got kids and things to do. Last but not least, Delilah from Grown Woman Gaming. Thank you so much for coming down and rocking with us. Again, you ladies are doing some fantastic work over there every Saturday morning, and it's a pleasure watching you guys grow. At noon, make sure you guys go check them out. Great panel, great podcast. Listen, with all of that said, congratulations. You guys leveled up to 206. This was the Double XP podcast. Make sure you guys come out to happy hour tomorrow. It's going to be a hell of a show with Bubbles, Baron, and Hugger. Yes, Baron, you will be there tomorrow, happy hour. I know they come for the ladies, but you can be a part of the show as well. Make sure you guys get the game news from LV1Gaming.com. You guys have a great one. And we're out.